Hello everyone, my name is Amin Saba and I'm here with the Swim Strong Foundation. And what we're going to do is talk about water safety. I'm not going to teach you how to swim. I'm going to talk about certain things. You may know some of the things I'm going to discuss, but I'm sure you'll pick up some new information the way I did when I first doing presentations. And we're just going to talk about how to be safe around water in different water situations. So how did I get involved with the Swim Strong Foundation? I'm originally from Greece. And nothing makes me happier than being in the water, around water for swimming. When I moved to the US, I met my husband, who's Mexican. And he told me he knew how to swim. But when we went to the beach, I realized what he called swimming was not what I called swimming. He could kind of float on his back. And then when I used to go to the beach with him and his nieces and nephews, I was in charge of 5 people who didn't really know how to swim. So I decided that had to change, and I looked around for reasonably priced swimming classes, and that's how I came across Swim Strong Foundation. So what is Swim Strong Foundation? Swim Strong Foundation is a small nonprofit, and our mission is to reduce the number of unintended drownings and water-based accidents. And we do that in 3 ways. We teach strong swimming skills. We've taught more than 15,000 people how to swim, ages 6 to adult. My husband learned how to swim when he was 50. We go into school and we do this presentation. We've done this environmental water safety presentation to more than 60,000 students who followed it. And we initiate and advocate for legislation that's creating an aquatic culture around New York. So the program you're going to watch is called Know Before You Go. It has 4 sections. And it talks about different water situations and the benefits and the risks and how to navigate them. But we're only going to go through the first section that's called A Conversation Around Water Safety. So, when we say, oh, and I have some stuff I give away for people who participate. Okay, you can choose it's a pen or a bracelet or a paper ball. So, when we say drowning, what is drowning? What's the definition of drowning? Anybody?
Someone who can't swim is struggling to stay up on, the surface of the water.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's death by submersion in water or other inhalation of water or some other liquid. Take what you want and then pass it around. Give your friend and then pass it around. Thank you. Okay. So drownings happen a lot more often than you think. Statistics have shown that the demographic that drowns the most often is African Americans. In open water, people of color drown 3 times more often. And when it's a pool, the number goes up to 5 times more often. Why do you think more people drown in a pool than in, let's say, the ocean? Any guesses?
You might not have as many people around.
They may not have as much people around, yes, because you're at home and you say, oh, my kid is in the backyard in the pool, right, it's safe. I'm not gonna worry about it, and accidents happen, yes.
Also, they may think that it's shallow, but really the pool might be deep, and they might not know that.
Right, but if it's in your home, you probably would know, right? Okay. So we let our guards down when we're at home, right? My mother actually has a cousin who drowned at the age of 3 in a pool of Florida with his aunts and uncles just around her. Because everybody thought they were watching the baby, and in the long run, nobody was really watching the baby. Okay. Statistics have also shown that boys tend to get into more water-related accidents than girls. Anybody know why? Or want to take a guess? Any guys? What do you think boys get into more trouble than girls? Because boys what? Yes.
I mean, they're not scared of anything.
Boys take more risks. Here, you can pass this down. The 2 of you can pick what you want. Right? Boys take more risks, right? And girls tend to be better at following instructions and directions. Okay. Globally, a person drowns every 70 seconds. So you can only imagine, since we started doing this presentation, how many people have already drowned around the world. And for every one of those drownings, 5 people suffer from brain injuries or spinal injuries that are caused by an accident around water. In the US, 10 people drown every day, and 50 of them experience these water-based accidents. So, The good news is that 95% of these drownings are preventable. And that's why we're having this conversation. We don't want you to be scared of water. We want you to be smart about how you navigate different water situations. That way you know that if you get into a car, you put on your seatbelt. We want you to know how to navigate these different situations. So what can you do? Well, you can obviously learn how to swim, right? But not everybody likes the water, and not everybody can learn how to swim. Some people may not want to take classes, right? So the other thing you have to think about is the number 2. The number 2 is very important when it comes to water safety. A person can drown in 2 minutes in 2 inches of water. And you're going to tell me, come on, I need 2 inches of water? Like, what are you telling us? Well, think about a baby that falls flat on its face, right? Or a grown-up that passes out for some reason. And I'll give you a scenario to think about. You have a babysitting job, watching a little baby, or your grown-up at home has asked you to watch the baby while it's taking its bath while they're making dinner, and you have your phone with you. And your phone dings, and it's your best friend who sent you a TikTok video. Well, I would look at it too. It's your best friend, right? If that video lasts more than 2 minutes, that baby you're supposed to be watching in the bathtub could drown. So that's how easily accidents happen. And that's why we want you to be aware. So as I said, I'm going to talk about different water situations. For example, the information about rip currents. I personally did not know it before I started doing these presentations because we don't have rip currents in Greece. Okay? We're going to talk about different situations and how to navigate them. So here's some general water safety tips. You might know a lot of them. I'm going to come back to the first 2. Always swim near a lifeguard and never swim alone. And don't swim after dark. We're going to talk about that later. I want you to keep in mind that alcohol, drugs, and swimming do not mix. And I want you to know your limits. What does it mean, know your limits? You say know your limits. What does it mean?
Like don't swim too far into the ocean.
Swim where you feel comfortable, right? Don't let your friends or your buddies, don't let your friends or your buddies persuade you to go out in deeper water if you're not going to be safe or you're not going to feel comfortable in deeper water. Okay. So at the pool, you probably know all these rules. Do not run. The decks of the pools are always wet, so you could easily slip and get injured. No rough playing. Every single pool has its own configuration, which means that every single pool, either on the walls around the pool or on the decks, have numbers that indicate the depth. Be a good detective, and before you go into the water, make sure you know which is the deep end of the pool and which is the shallow end of the pool, so you don't jump into the shallow end of the pool. Don't chew gum or eat food, because if it goes back here where your air pipe is, and when you go to take a breath, you could clog your air pipe. And who can tell me the difference visually, right, of the water between the water in a lake and a pond, of the water in a pool? What's different about it?
The condition.
Condition? What do you mean by
Yeah, I'm
condition?
saying like the water is different.
The water is different. The what?
Chemical.
Yeah, but you can't see the chemicals. I said visually.
The water is moving?
The water is moving in a lake and a pond, kind of, yeah.
Like in a lake, it's more dirtier and you can't see the bottom.
It's less, in a lake, the water is murkier, right? Okay, here, I'll give you, you can come later and I'll give you some, okay? So the water in a lake, and a pond or a pool, in a lake is murkier, right? So you can't see the bottom, which means that if you're gonna go swimming in a pond, later, come and get one, okay? If you're gonna go swimming in a pond or a lake, do not dive in. Always go in feet first. Also, a lake or a pond may have animals in it, right? It could be fish, it could be turtles, it could be frogs. I was swimming last year in a pond at a camping ground, and there was a water snake in the water. It came my way, I was going that way, we just met, and we each went our own way. We're going into their environment. Also, the water in a lake or a pond, there might be plants in it, right? And your leg, it could get tangled around your leg. Well, don't start freaking out, crazy like that, but chances are you're going to get even more tangled. You have to gently remove the grass or the weeds, and then you can continue swimming. What does a river have that other bodies of water don't have? Somebody kind of mentioned that.
Current.
A current. So come later, so, okay, okay, a current. So that means that before you go swimming in a river, do your homework, be smart. See which way the current is going, and figure out down the river, in the direction the current is going, where you will be able to get out. Because if you think you're gonna just swim across, but there's no rocks there and you'll be able to get out, that's not gonna work. The current's gonna take you down, so make sure beforehand that you've already thought about where you're gonna come out, okay? Also, people throw a lot of junk in rivers. They could be rusted cars or cement blocks, so stay out of them, especially the ones around New York City. Don't go in them. And if you cannot see the bottom, do not swim. Water parks, you probably know all of this. If you don't feel comfortable on one day and you're going to a water park, you don't feel at 100%, you can always ask them to lend you a life jacket. The life jacket, they're free. There's certain rides that require you're of a certain age or a certain height, respect that. No running around because again, the decks are all wet, right? And kind of the same rules on the playground. If you're going down a slide, go down feet first, not head first, and make sure that the person ahead of you is already at a safe spot. Boating. Okay. Boating, I'm talking about kayaks, canoes, motorboats, sailboats. This is where I have a personal sad story to share. So I had a friend in Greece who was a super good swimmer and a super good sailor. He went out one day on his sailboat, it was a beautiful day, and because he was such a good swimmer and such a good sailor, he didn't put on his life jacket. And guess what? The wind picked up, the sail swang around, the boom, the bottom part of the sail, the middle of the wooden part, hit him on his head, and he fell in the water unconscious. What do you need? 2 minutes, 2 inches of water. My friend is not with us today. And it was a stupid, stupid, stupid accident because he had his life jacket with him. But he decided not to wear it because he was such a good swimmer and such a good sailor. And that's why we're saying these things to you, because 95% of these accidents are preventable. He could have been with us today. When it comes, so if you go on a boat, please promise me you will always wear a life jacket. And the life jacket you can trust is a U.S. Coast Guard approved life jacket. You can't trust these floaties or floats because they can pop, or you can lose them. You jump into the water with holding onto your float, it flies out of your hands. And then you're in deep water and you have nothing to hold you above water. And if you're gonna be on a boat that has a motor engine, common sense, stay away from where the motor is, especially if it's on, because the blades can harm you, and there's carbon dioxide that comes out. Monoxide, sorry. Okay. I'm sure you've seen these flags at the beach. Green means good to go. Yellow means is moderate surf and moderate currents. So if you're not a good swimmer, do not go in. Red means strong currents and strong surf. Do not go in. If you absolutely have to go in, be extremely careful. If there's something dangerous in the water, like stingray or jellyfish, you will see a purple flag. If there's a shark in the water, it's going to be a red flag. It's going to be 2 red flags, because that indicates that the beach is closed. And a red and a yellow flag indicate the area of the beach that the lifeguard is in charge of. Beach closed, no lifeguard on duty, swimming prohibited. Please, 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 if a beach is closed, do not go swimming. Since 2012, when we have Hurricane Sandy, there's more and more tropical storms, also because of climate change. And there could be a storm way off our coast that's affecting the underwater currents, that's affecting the currents near our shoreline. And this is where I have another sad story to share, and this is where I'm coming back to the 3 bullet points I mentioned earlier. When I say always swim with a lifeguard, never swim alone, and never swim after dark. So as I told you, I go into schools and do these presentations, right? Last year, I was in the school. They told me they had a student who I was talking to a group of seniors. They told me they had a student the year before, right after he graduated, he went to the beach with his mom and his siblings, and he never came back. What happened? They went to a beach that was closed. There was no lifeguard on duty. It was a Pakistani family, so the mother's English was not very good, and she couldn't ask for help. There wasn't really nobody to call to help because the beach was closed, and she could not go in to help her son. So she and his siblings watched him drown in front of their eyes. And this is what we want to prevent. Every year in New York City, you have students your age and older people and young people who drown. a few years ago, again, there were two students, high school students, that played hooky from school. The parents didn't know they didn't go to school. The school didn't inform the parents right away. By the time the two of them communicated, the school and the parents, the kids had already drowned. You're in school, you're smart. It's a pity to lose your life because of something silly like this. And like I said, 95% of these accidents are preventable. We don't want you to be scared of the water. We want you to be able to enjoy the water, but we want you to be able to enjoy it in a safe way. The first bullet point comes back to what I had told you. When I turned around to remove the cheese out of my niece's sandwich, and I saw her float. Did I say this? Did I mention this to you? It was, oh, okay, well, it's a previous one. So I was once at the beach with my nieces. One of them didn't want cheese in her sandwich. She was little, she was like 2 or 3. She was playing at the shore. I turned around to remove the cheese from the sandwich. By the time I turned around to give her the sandwich, she was floating on the back of the water. A wave had come, and the rockaways, and had pulled her out. I was lucky, nothing happened to her, and she was too young to understand. She was just floating her back, she didn't know what happened to her, but she could have drowned. That's how fast accidents happen. Like I said, I love swimming, so when I'm in Greece, I like going for a 1-hour swim. But what I do, look at this third bullet point, I swim parallel to the shore. I'm not going to go out swimming for half an hour and swim back half an hour, because if you're 2 minutes too deep, the lifeguard's not going to be able to get you. You can swim parallel to the shore and have just as much fun and have get the same workout. Now I'm going to talk to you about rip currents, which is the information I didn't know until I started doing these presentations. So this is what a rip current looks like. And we do have them on our beaches here at the Rockaways. And you will see signs on the lampposts at the beaches that tell you how to navigate these situations. So this is what a rip current looks like. It's a narrow current, very strong, very close to the shore, that sweeps you out to sea. So if I'm swimming here and I get caught in the rip current can pull me out here. Well, I can't just assume, oh, okay, I'll just turn around and swim back, because that's not going to happen. It's Mother Nature, and it's way too strong. What you have to do is relax. Try to relax and float on your back. When you feel that the current is not as strong, you swim at an angle towards the beach. As soon as you feel the current picking up again, go back on your back. When it's not as strong, swim at an angle towards the beach. And you keep on doing that until you get out. Coach Sean, who started this program, who's a lifeguard, she saved 20 people, who used to swim for her team at college, told me she got caught at a rip current in the Rockaways. It took her more than an hour to get out. She got out 20 blocks down. She was exhausted, but she got out. Yes?
Actually, it's a much story. I'm a certified lifeguard. I actually got stuck in the rip current also, in the Rockaways, and it took me a while to get out. And it's not fun.
It's not fun, it's a scare.
You should always try to see and always swim in certain places.
Exactly, that's what you should always swim with
Because
in
the
the left.
lifeguard can't go out and see you because they'll get stuck.
Exactly, and that comes to the thing I was going to say now. You know what the sea is supposed to look like. If the water in the sea, on the ocean, does not look the way it's supposed to look, there's something weird about it, trust your gut. Do not go in. If it looks like kind of like a washing machine, stay out of it. And that's what we say, swim with your buddy, so you can get help. Because listen to what, suppose I'm swimming, I'm not caught in the current, but I just feel uncomfortable, right? I'm just trying to float, right? And I'm trying to stay above ground. And I'm trying, above water, and I'm trying to keep my neck up. Listen to what happens to my voice. If I go, help, 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 help. Hear how my voice gets smaller? So as you're trying to keep your neck and your mouth above water, your voice gets smaller. Which means that the lifeguard on the beach, there's no way he's going to hear you. First of all, there's noise at the beach, there's people playing, there's people laughing, there's music, there's waves, there's wind. Which is why you should swim with a buddy. Also, if you're just trying to stay above, your neck above water so you don't drown, you probably don't have the luxury to use one of your arms to cough at your friend, right? Because you're just trying to float, stay afloat. Which is why you should always swim with your buddy. Because a buddy can get the attention of the lifeguard. And the lifeguards have been trained to see signs of distress. So these are the different points we mentioned about if you get caught in a rip current, and share this information with friends and family because we do have them, and that's how you get out of them. Okay, Dangerous Bay versus a beach. I would recommend you swim at a beach before you swim at a bay, because the bays, the water is murkier, they have irregular bottom contours, so that means you could be swimming and all of a sudden it gets, walking, all of a sudden it gets deep. Lifeguards are usually at beaches, not at bays. Beaches have been prepared to welcome swimmers, like they prepare the beach, the sand part, to prepare the ocean part, right? And people, if they're gonna throw something, people who throw things in the water that they're not supposed to throw into the water, like, they're probably gonna throw it into a bay before they throw it into a beach. They can access it more easily. This sandbar in both of them, you cannot rely on the sandbar, because if you went swimming yesterday, there was a sandbar 300 feet out. If you're gonna go swimming today and you don't feel 100%, you're like, oh, that's okay, I'll just swim to the sandbar and I can stand. Sandbars move around, because the currents move the sand. So do not rely on the sandbar. There's marine life in both of them. And if you were beginning to feel really cold, make sure you get out and get somewhere where you can be warm so you don't get hypothermia. Groins, jetties, and pilings. I'm sure you've seen these at the beach. They look really cool. Probably a very nice place to take your Instagram photo, but do not go on them. They are slippery because marine life attaches to it, and they've been put there to break the surf and to prevent erosion of the beaches. So please do not climb on them. If you fall in the water, there's a thing called the washing machine effect. So if you fall in the water right here, you're not going to be able to climb up on the rocks because they're slippery. The waves are going to keep on smacking you up against the rocks, and you're going to get even more injured. They've also seen marine life feeding around them. They've actually seen even sharks around them. So stay at least 100 feet away from them. These are a few points we went over before. Stay calm and think. Always difficult to do when you don't feel comfortable and you feel in danger, but that's the way to make smart decisions. Float on the back and breathe if you get tired. Always go swimming when there's a lifeguard, and always try to swim with a buddy. Okay, fall is hurricane season. So there's storms way off our coastline that are affecting the underwater currents near our beaches. So don't let, the looks are deceiving. If you're not a good swimmer, please do not go in. Winter brings ice. Should you fall into a frozen lake, you only have 10 minutes to get to safety. This is the thickness the ice has to be to support the different weights. Who can tell me what's stronger, white ice or clear ice?
White.
What? Clear ice.
Clear ice.
Clear ice.
Clear ice. Think about the ice cube in your ice cube tray at home, the freezer, right? White ice is more like snow, little think about it. Clear ice is stronger, right? And a pond or a lake freezes from the edges, right? Where it's thinner, else it's going to freeze first. So if you're walking in a pond or a lake, and the ice breaks and you fall in, what you need to do, first of all, it's going to knock you're going to be so shocked because it's so cold. You only have 10 minutes to get to safety. You're going to have to try to think and go back the way you came. So you're going to put your elbows down, pull your tummy up, kick your legs if you're coming out of a pool when there's no ladder, and you should go back the way you came. Because if the ice was strong enough to support your weight up until where the ice broke and you fell in, chances are the ice is going to be able to support your weight going back. And roll yourself to the edge so you spread out your weight. Don't go in the direction you were going, because if that's in the middle of the pond or the lake, the ice is probably not as frozen and you're not going to be able to get out. If you're going to walk on a frozen lake or pond, make sure you have something sharp with you to jab it in. But I would recommend not doing it. I know we have all these images around the holidays of people walking on frozen lakes or ice skating or whatever. Winters are not as cold as they used to be because of climate change, which means the ice is not freezing the way it used to freeze. So stay away from ponds and lakes in our parks. If you also walking on a frozen lake or pond and you feel like you're slipping, sliding, open your legs and walk like a penguin to support your balance. And if you're going to fall, make sure you protect your face and your head and your wrist. Kind of like if you're playing, martial arts, just protect those parts of your body. Okay, spring brings floods. So as I mentioned, because of climate change. We're seeing more storms in our area. That means we're seeing areas of New York where neighborhoods where the sidewalks and the streets get covered with water. And we're going to be seeing more and more of that. Since Hurricane Sandy in 2012, we've been seeing more and more of that. There's a thing called sunny day flooding, where you could have sidewalks and streets covered in water, even though there was no rainfall. And that's caused by supermoons, right? And they create tides. In some countries, big tides. In some tides, these tides are called king tides, okay? So they're bringing the water into our neighborhoods. I know you know this. If there's an electrical cable that's underwater, obviously don't go near it. If you're in a car, make sure the car drives in the middle of the street, because that's the highest part of the street, so that's where the water will be the shallowest. You would have to drive single lane, blinkers off, low gear, no more than 5 miles per hour. And if your brakes get wet, when you get out of the water, just tap the brakes slightly to drive it, okay? And if the car loses its grip, you need to put weight in the car, so you can actually even open the door to let some water in to get weight into the car. Okay, so a few final tips. So, like I said, never turn your back to the beach. Always promise me you're gonna swim when there's a lifeguard. You're gonna go swimming with somebody if you need help. If you're in a boat, please promise me you'll wear a life jacket. If you're gonna swim in a river, make sure you've checked which way the current is going. Don't go in if you can't see the bottom. And if you're gonna swim in a lake, never dive in. Okay. I have one lifeguard in the room. Do I have any other lifeguards in this room? Okay. New York City is looking for lifeguards. You'll see signs up in the New York City parks are looking for lifeguards. You can be a lifeguard from the age of 16, right?
Mhm.
And they pay like $17 an hour, don't they?
Yeah.
It's a good first job to have. You can ask your friend here. You're outdoors all summer long. You're saving lives. It shows responsibility. It's a first good job to have on
It's
your
also
resume.
really easy.
Okay.
It's very easy.
And you can get trained. There's certain schools that have signs. I don't know, does your school train for lifeguards?
Yes.
It does? Okay, well there you go. Your school has a program for that, right? So you could train to that, and you even get a pension. If you do it at the end, you even get a pension. Some teachers are lifeguards in the summer, so. So that was my presentation. Do I have any questions? Would anybody want to add anything? Was the lifeguard want to add anything to the presentation? Did we cover everything? Okay, great, thank you. There's a little quiz I would like you to take after this presentation. We did the pre-quiz. We need the data for the quiz for our funders. So our funders will give us money to offer the free swimming classes and to do these presentations. Want to see data. So please do take the quiz. It's only a minute, but it helps us with funding the program. So thank you very much for being here. And I don't know who needs to comment. Had 2 or 3 people, you can comment.